All right, so we're going to be looking at events in this video. I want to create a click event so that we can click a little icon here, and then this will either hide or show when we click it. So we're going to use an icon, so we need Font Awesome, which is an icon library. So if we go to fontawesome.com and you go to, let's see, this is responsive, so how to use on the web, getting started. And we just want to grab this link right here. Okay, I'm just going to use this CDN, and I'm going to put this in my public index HTML file. I'm just going to put it right here. Okay, so that way we can use icons. So we'll close that up and close up index HTML, and let's go ahead and create an icon. So we want to put this, let's see, we have our H4 with the name. I want to put it right next to the name. So right here in the H4, let's put an I tag with the class of FAS, and then we want a class of FA-plus, like that. Okay, so let's save and see if that shows up, and it does. Actually, you know what? I don't want to use the plus. I want to use the, let me go back to Font Awesome. It is, let's see, this is the responsive version. It's confusing me. Where's the search? Or I actually think we have to go to icons. All right, so I want a down arrow. And right here, sort down is what I want, not plus. So let's do FA-sort-down and save. Okay, so now we have our little sort down arrow. Now, when I click this, I want to fire off an event. So the way that we do events is we go into whatever we want the event on, which in this case is this icon, this I tag. So I'm going to put in an on click. Okay, it's similar to inline events in JavaScript, but it's not. It doesn't work the same way. And instead of doing on click all lowercase, it's actually on click camel case, like that. And then what we want to do is set that to, and we could do whatever we want here. We could put an inline function like this and say console.log hello and save, and then when I go and I click on any of these, it does nothing. There we go, hello. Okay, but we don't want to do that. We actually want to create a whole new function, and I'm going to call it on, I'll just call it on, we'll call it on show click. So to do that, we want to use the this keyword because it's going to refer to a method that's in this class. So this dot, and let's say on show click, like that. And let's go up here and create that. So we want to go above the render, on show click, and we'll go like that. And then what we want to happen, actually let's test it out by saying console.log and say hello world and save. All right, so if I click one of these, we get hello world because it's calling this function here. Now, the thing that I want to do here is add some state. I want to add a Boolean value of show contact info to this component, to the contact component. And when we click, I want to change that state. Okay, but I'm not going to do that just yet. We're going to do that in the next video. I just want to kind of show you how events work. Now, if we need to use this for some reason, so if we want to, let's say, look at the state when we click this component inside the console. If we say console.log and say this.state, which we don't have any of, I guess we could just add right here, just some empty state, because we are going to have a value here, but let's just do that. And if I click, we're going to get an error that says cannot read property state of undefined. So what's going on here is it doesn't know what this is. And the reason for that is because this is a custom method. This isn't like a lifecycle method that's included with the component class, like render, or there's other ones like component did mount, component will receive props, stuff like that. In those core methods, you can use this, without doing any extra work. However, when you create your own methods like this and you want to use this, there's a couple things you can do. So one, you can bind it. So you can go down here and you can say dot bind and then pass in this. So if I save that and we click, now it works. It's showing, it's console logging our state, which right now is just an empty object. But the point is, this is now working inside this component. So another thing you could do is, if you don't want to put the bind here, you could have a constructor. So real quick, let's just say constructor and super. And if we were going to have state, we'd say this dot state equals and an empty object. So you could do this dot and then the name of the function show on click equals this dot show on click, and then just do dot bind and then pass in this. Okay, so if we save that, let's see if that works. So we'll click that and it just shows us our state. So this is working because we did this. Okay, if I take this away and save and we click, we're going to get that error again. Now there's a much easier way to do this without having to bind this, and I'm just going to get rid of this, put state back like that. So there's a much easier way, and that's just to turn this into an arrow function. So if we just go show click equals parentheses and then an arrow, then we don't have to do any binding. It should work. So let's save this. Oops, let's get rid of that. What happened to our application? So now if let me open my Chrome tools back up and let's click this and it works. Okay, so we didn't have to do dot bind this on the handler right here. We didn't have to do that, or in the constructor. We simply used an arrow function, and now this keyword is available to us. Okay, so keep that in mind, and this is the format that we'll be using throughout the course. Also, every event can get passed in an event object, and we can access different things from here. If I do console log E and save, it's going to give us just a whole bunch of stuff here. If we look in the target, we get like the positioning of it. We can get values and stuff like that. I'm just going to do E dot target, and that'll give us the actual element. So if I go ahead and click, whoops, there we go. It'll just give us the actual element. Okay, and this is good for like forms and submitting inputs and stuff like that. What I want to do now is show you how we can pass in a parameter. So if we have an event and we want this show click to pass something in, usually it would be like an ID or something. You would use dot bind, just like I showed you before, and you would pass in this as the first parameter and then whatever you want after that. So let's say it was an ID of 1, and then we'll go up here and let's put our parentheses and we'll do ID, and then for the event you would just put that as the next parameter. But let's do console log ID, and now if we go ahead and click this, we get 1. All right, and it could be something dynamic. It could be maybe we want the name passed in, so we could say like we could pass in name because that's available down here. So now each one I'll click this one, we should get John Doe. If I click this one, we get Karen Williams, and so on. And this obviously should be renamed to name like that instead of ID. That makes more sense. Okay, and it still works. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna just get rid of this. We don't need any parameters passed in, so we'll get rid of the dot bind. I was just doing that as an example. All right. So in the next video, what I want to do is show you how we can change state. We're going to have a state value of show contact info, which will be a Boolean. And once we click, I want to change that state to either true or false, and then have this display based on that. Okay, so we'll do that in the next video.